Happy Friday, Dayspring. Hey, it's time for our weekly ministry and mission partner update. I've got some wonderful stories to tell you about what God is continuing to do around our country and even in our world. Even in the midst of a COVID-19, the gospel cannot be stopped. Hey, we're learning that from our current sermon series, so be sure to catch the services this Sunday at 9 and 10:30 a.m. Hey, as we get ready to share those stories, let me first of all maybe just encourage you a little bit. If you're like me, man, we've been in this sheltering at home, this self-quarantine for some 6 weeks now, and it's getting pretty wearisome. I know for many of us, we seem to be hitting a wall, and the first few weeks we were managing, it got a little bit more challenging. Now we're just kind of hit a wall, and for some of us, it may be a little difficult to push through that wall to continue on, and continue on. And having the perspective that God would have us to have, as we talked about last week. But let me encourage you in something. You'll see the street there behind me, and that's in our neighborhood. And one of the things I've been observing a lot is how many of my neighbors are getting out and taking daily walks, sometimes more than one a day. We have a neighborhood that's very conducive to that, and myself and my wife have also been doing that. It gives us a little bit of opportunity just to kind of stretch our physical legs, but an opportunity to get out of the house and just have a wave at our neighbors as we walk by, all the while keeping our social distancing and saying our hellos. But it also provides an opportunity for us to just talk together, share together, kind of catch up on some things. Even though we're both working from home, we're working and working on our projects, so there's not a lot of conversation that takes place during that time. But these walks give us the opportunity to do that. I'm just thinking about that recently and thinking about the walks that Jesus had with his disciples when he was here on earth, with his friends. I wonder what their conversations were like. I tend to think their conversations were probably a lot like ours. They were talking about things that were going on in their life, how the day had unfolded, different things that were happening. But I think their conversations always also centered on how they could live life God's way. And Jesus was always putting in some spiritual truths and spiritual encouragement for them, challenging them, helping them to walk with God. That's literally what they were doing. They were walking with God as they spent time with Jesus there. I think walking with God is still important for every one of us. Now, we can't get out and walk with Jesus, physically walk with Jesus around our neighborhood like his disciples, his friends had the opportunity to do. But we can still walk with God every day. We do that by reading his Bible. We do that by spending time with him in prayer. And so I want to encourage you as we continue to move through this self-quarantine, this sheltering at home, as we continue to deal with the new reality that we find ourselves in regards to the COVID-19 crisis. I want to encourage you, keep walking with God. Because if it was important for Jesus, for his disciples, Jesus' disciple in his day, it is very important for me and you today. And our walk with God is that which helps keep us connected with him and with each other. 1 John 1:7 says this, "But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, then we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus, his son, cleanses us from all unrighteousness." You see, when we're walking with God, when we're developing our relationship with him, it helps us to not only stay connected with him, but with each other. And it gives us an awareness of how much he loves and cares for us, and how he is working in our lives, and how he's provided salvation for us. So, as you go through the COVID-19 crisis, get out, walk your neighborhood, stretch your physical legs, but also be sure to take those spiritual walks every day with Jesus as well. Let me tell you about a couple of things that are going on with some of our church plant partners as they are continuing to make the gospel known in their community. One of those is Stephen Costello, who is planting a church in Boston called City on the Hill. And in their church, they're restricted like we are, so there's not a lot of things they can get out and physically do in their community. But one of the things that they've discovered that they can do is partner with the local YMCA. And what they're doing is putting together activity bags for the families that are connected to the YMCA, and they're allowing them to put in information about their church as well, to drop some spiritual truth in there. And he was recently sharing with me that they are preparing 200 bags per week to be distributed to families throughout their area. So they're making inroads in their community with the gospel despite the coronavirus. Another one of those is Buff and Cissy McNichol, who are located in the Atlantic City, South Jersey area. And they are partnering together with other church plant partners in helping provide food for different families. We recently had the opportunity to send them a gift, and as a result of that gift, they, with other gifts that have been received, are able to provide 65 families with food on a weekly basis. We're excited to be able to help them minister to their families, to the community in a very practical way. Another story I want to share with you is actually from one of our global partners, Doulos Ministries. And it'd be hard for me to retell this story, so I'm going to read it to you, and it may be a little bit long, but hang in here with me. I think you're going to find it worth your while to listen to it. They sent us this, this note and saying, in an undisclosed 1040 window country, two of our church planters, we will call them Lois and Lucy, got a word from the Lord to go to a very hostile neighboring village. They knew that this town was known for killing Christians, but they went anyway. What a sense of courage and obedience of these men and women who serve the Lord in different places. As they came into the village, they were met by a man who was not only the chief, but the imam of that village, and he received them with open arms. Now think about that. A Muslim imam receiving two women who are followers of Jesus. Well, the imam told them that a few days earlier, that a man appeared to him in a dream and told him two women were coming to his village and he was to receive them warmly. Well, Lois and Lucy stayed in the village sharing the gospel through stories, and people were responding. However, the real breakthrough came when they prayed for a young man who had been bedridden for many months, and he was completely healed. Because of the healing, many became very attentive to the message, and as a result, 4 Discovery Bible study groups were started, and we can now celebrate that over the next 3 months, all 4 of them have now become churches. What an amazing story! But it just is an example of that no matter what happens, no matter what takes place, no matter what type of barriers are put in place, you can't stop the work of the gospel. In Dayspring, we get to be a part of that through our partnerships with not only church planters in North America, but through our local ministry and mission partners and our global partnerships like the one that I just shared with you. Hey, let's stay strong. Let's stay faithful. Let's stay connected. Let's continue to be generous in our givings of our finances and in our prayers so that we can be a part of the great gospel work that is taking place. Hey, have a great weekend, and I, like you, look forward to the time that we can once again gather together on a weekly basis and celebrate what God is doing in person. But until then, let's keep doing it in our own homes, through video, through the technology, and let's remember that nothing can stop the work of the gospel. Have a great weekend. God bless.